fail. Got some. I'm gonna bet I can get through this foam cutting in under 2 minutes. Are you ready to time me? All right. On my mark, get me set. Huh? Hold on. Okay, now. On me set, go. Look at me go. Is that under 2 minutes? I feel like it was. It felt definitely under 2 minutes. How's everyone doing today? So, we are at the point where I get to start doing the exciting chipped, weathering, collapsing work on this bad boy. But I wanted to get these little border pieces up first because, you know, they're part of the same carved wall in essence. So I want to make sure that, although now that I'm thinking about it, the cliff wall kind of stops before them. So these might actually be chunks of rock that have been masoned into place. How that I think about it. Which means I maybe don't have to get these up yet. Which would be nice because once I get them up and glued in place, then working on them, you know, I have to be at awkward angles and stuff. Whereas if I have them separate for longer, you know, I can relax. I can sit down here and just like do a little thing. That's fine. Yeah, so let's do that. Thanks, little epiphany. You did it. Is that a wrapper, little epiphany? It should be. Okay, so we want to do. Let's find my reference. Printed out some really nice reference. That's my rap name now. Yo, DJ Josh and Lil Epiphany in the house. Okay. hold on. My cable management is getting out of control. It's the opposite of managed. Okay, sorry to spin you around like that. We are carving today into these. So, these beautiful references from the real world. Wonderful references from the real world. I'm hoping to guide me. So, I think that this is probably the same reference, or at least part of the reference that the artists who designed this level used, because you can see, of course I can never find the one I'm thinking of when I'm actually looking for it. Somewhere in my reference here, I have the top level, and it's just like, nope, it's gone now, gone forever, rip. Oh, maybe I had it up here. Okay, here we go. There we go. So one of the things that is hard to see is that these 4 pillars that are referenced up here, this guy, this guy, this guy, and then notice the missing one. Oh, now my camera is like, no, I'm not gonna look that way anymore. You hurt my feelings. Sorry, camera. All I ask is that you effortlessly go wherever I want you to be, whenever I want you to be there. That's all I ask. All right, missing pillar. Dun dun dun. Notice in this reference, similar shaped buildings with missing pillars all over the place, and a lot of them are, sorry, not missing per se, but like cracked, and part of it has fallen off. So what I have, this is kind of what it's doing in the game. You've got like a pillar that's sheared like that, and then like this top part of the pillar has fallen down. And so that's what I'm trying to recreate, is that kind of thing writ large. They don't have a lot of the bigger kind of damage that you see in the reference of like entire, I mean, they kind of got this like whole part here, sort of, I'm just gonna call it flaked. It like has flaked away, as in here. What? No memory card. Hold on. Don't know why I don't have a memory card. Okay. Let's try this again. So what I'm particularly looking at is sections like this where you can still make out a pattern in there, but chunks have sort of fallen away, just shed or flaked off. And in this case, like in this reference that I have, you can see how when the rock collapses on its own, the sort of pattern that it does, like, and that has to do with how this rock face is actually, is laid out by geology. Mine is a little bit different. If you held it this way, for instance, I think this is a little closer to what my rocks are doing, because I have this very strong directional flow. And I want to make sure that that directional flow carries through all these parts that are carved out. And that's a prime example, is, that missing chunk there. So whatever caused that chunk to be missing needs to carry through. All right, that's enough of the theory crafting. Let's actually break some stuff. Hugh Fred Durst's 1998 smash hit Break Stuff. Alright, so I would say this line here, I'm trying to follow it up. You know, it comes from here. I want to make sure that I'm reflecting the general flow all the way through. Up here, it's a lot kind of straighter across. Let's see, and so if this is broken off, and this piece here, you see that's the thing in the reference, all of these pieces are still stuck to it like so, because this is all carved from the same piece. These are not separate rocks that were stacked on top of each other, right? So I'm kind of tempted to not do what they have in the reference, and instead just like cut a chunk out more or less and have that be on the ground, but still keep that top post up there. So also, basically I'm looking for what are the heavy lines that you could expect to cause breakage. So this one is a big one, and I'm trying to like carry it through. It doesn't have to be exact because, you know, rocks are organic and the fracture lines shift such. And then let's kind of do a similar exercise on this side. We have an interesting semi-anomaly right here where you have the flow that's all going at an angle, but then this part right here is pretty horizontally flat. So that needs to resolve into the rest of the crackies that are going on. But what it means is that if you carry that horizontal through, it kind of goes right through these decorative elements, which is not great. That's going to be challenging to kind of weather, but fortunately I don't have to weather all of it 100%, right? There could be places where it's completely fine. The important thing is the sort of gestalt, the feeling that there is an organic flow that carries throughout the whole thing. Kind of, maybe I want a bigger pen for this, or even a paintbrush might be better, I'm not sure. Let's see how a big old fat pen works. I do know that Gestalt is a German word. Comes from a German philosopher. Suddenly I cannot remember his name. There's Gestalt psychology, there's Gestalt aesthetics. I mean, I believe it began in psychology, but then was co-opted and picked up by various aesthetic thinkers as well, which is generally how I use it. Gestalt meaning like looking at it as a whole rather than a sum of its parts. The sum being greater, or the sum of its parts being great, no, the whole, there we go, the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. Whew, that was hard to get out, but yeah, that's where that phrase comes from, Gestalt, psychology, thinking, etc. Oh, another thing that I have not established yet is the front facing of all of these pillars, because you may notice, since these are all molded from the same thing, I've got like a video game repeating pattern here, which makes sense in the context of a video game, honestly. But I'm trying to be a little more realistic with it. So there are 3 faces on each of these pillars, and so I want to rotate it so that it is not going the same way each time. I also have to account for the fact that this is a little off kilter for some reason, and it kind of works best there. So instead of rotating that one, I'm going to rotate this one. Okay. And then I probably also need to establish exactly where they are on here at this point as well, because the idea being that as load-bearing members, these need to be all in perfect alignment to make any sense. Like if there's one there and one there, then all the weight from the rock here is bearing down here, and it's creating a compressive, what is that called? There's a word for that, but essentially rock doesn't do great. It would need an arch to be able to redistribute that downward pressure to the other things, but there are no arches here. It's just completely flat. So these pillars have to be completely aligned to make sense, again. And it's one of those things where most people won't think about that, but subconsciously something in your mind will be like, something's off. Your salt originally was meaning there's like a shady, suspicious person? That's interesting. Can't make out the detail, but the shape is there. Ah, yeah, that makes sense. Also, I don't have to be a slave to the cracks and weathering that is already on there. I can fill in cracks, I can add new ones. I certainly will be doing that as I'm trying to make these damaging dings travel across the surface. Trying to think how I want to actually. Don't want to affix these together yet, I don't think, because, well, I don't know. I'm a little bit torn. It would be nice to be able to continue to pull this apart for painting and weathering and adding plants and all that stuff. But on the other hand, it's not like there's a lot of area that I can't get to fairly easily. The most annoying part is going to be like detailing under here, because it's just an awkward angle, right? But if I fix everything together, I can get these pillars perfectly aligned the way I want them. But also, doesn't quite matter at this stage yet. Again, because I'm trying to do these very broad strokes. The Gestalt! if you will. Now that Indivi's reminded me it's a German word, I have to shout it. Okay. Yeah, this is not doing a great job. I could do a paintbrush, but that would also be really annoying. I'd be waiting for it to dry. I guess I could dry brush. Well, let me just keep going with this smaller pen and see if that accomplishes what I need. So, I expect it to meet in the middle. Okay, but I want to basically notate front. Let's just go ahead and just desecrate it with a big fat F. Now I'm thinking, what other lines? This one's traveling up through there. I don't want them all to have the same crack in the same place, right? That would be weird. If I know where the front is, then I can continue the cracking around the back in a way that makes sense. Let's see. And I also want to make sure that I'm interpolating the line, meaning like gradually changing the angle between 2 points, between an angle that's like this over here and an angle that's like this over here. So like, for instance, this particular crack would go up, 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 and then where does it meet up here? Yeah, let's say about there. So I want to make sure that, you know, this is essentially that, and it's going to go up to there. So I wonder if actually numbering these would be helpful. But yeah, we go across there, and then again, thinking of it going all the way back. Actually, drawing it in the back would make the most sense because first, and then I could project it forward onto the pillars. What are you doing? Stop. flow lines that go with the primary flow directions of the rock, then what I can do is step back, look at it where it's at, and then go in and decide, oh, you know, I would really like a nice vertical crack there or something like that, right? Take my word for it, I put a line there. Would I line to you? For instance, got like, I could spend a long time patching together that line, you know, because this is where two different castings are coming together. Or because I'm going to be wrecking stuff anyway, why not just wreck, just chip apart this whole area, and then I don't have to deal with it, right? I just want to make sure that if I'm doing that, I'm carrying that, you know, destruction up to other places as well. I've got like a nice crack thing happening there already. So let's think about how we can continue that up. And look, we already have a nice crack on our pillar there, so this coincidentally lines up really nicely. But I do want to note, like, one thing you don't see in the reference is this thing like a cartoon crack. This is what people tend to make on their terrain, is those kind of cracks, like a lightning bolt essentially. And that's not often what you see in stone. Instead, you see these kind of shapes where it like is flaking away in interesting like faces. Here's the closest thing to a cartoon crack. You can see it goes from here, travels down, down through there. But even that, it's like very broken up, and you can see where there's like directional rock lines that are keeping it from just being like a random wiggle, right? That's what I'm trying to discover and lean into. So this is a little bit of a lightning bolt cartoon crack. I just want to make sure that it's, but also it has like this very straight part, which I like because that's how fractures happen. They go from weak point to weak point, or rather the strong points are like anchors because there's more stone there, and then it's weaker between them because it's been carved out. Something along those lines. That's the way my brain's trying to approach it. Got a nice little like random gash happening in there, and so I want to continue that down. I also, you know, I'm having trouble keeping this background aligned, so the more that like this area can kind of be messy and dinged up, the better. I already have a crack going through there, so I want to lean into that. Carry it through other places. feel like I want to do a big chunk just falling out in places. So that's a good candidate for a place to do that. I'm also looking at places where, you know, this particular casting has a bunch of bubbles in it. So if I want to tear a chunk out, that's a pretty good candidate for a place to tear a chunk out. Good opportunity for this one because the lines are starting to bend up here, so that could be cool. This area, because I cast it by pressing freeform air into the mold, it already has some really nice looking, you know, just weathering. And that's a little different than the rock shearing away, like falling off in flakes. When I look at my reference, I definitely see a mix of those two things happening. Like, see if I can find a good example of it here. So you can see places where there's super crisp line, like the top of this roof, right? That's really nice and crisp, but there are areas where it's just kind of like what's happening back here, just gets kind of crunchy. And then there are areas where a whole, like this section, I think, that whole part of this wall has just like fallen off, leaving just these fairly sheer cavities. But this edge right here is pretty pronounced, so I do want to kind of respect the power that's going to have to collapse some of these things down a little bit, but I could keep it a thinner like crack as opposed to chipping away a whole face area. This area I kind of like keeping it fairly pristine and clean, as in that reference I was just showing. There are places where the lines are nice and crisp, and so I definitely want to keep areas like that. Here's sort of a in-between area where there are some weathering chips and dings, but it's mostly clean. Here I've got this interesting rock protrusion going on, and I feel like, you know, that shape happens because of a joint in the rock. So having a bit of that crack continuing onto the back wall is probably a good idea. If it's going up there, then it's probably also going to travel a bit over here. All right, I think that's a pretty good starting point. Now I just got to figure out what are going to be the best tools to do all this cutting and chipping, because there's a variety of materials that are being used here. If it was all foam, it would be great, but there's some resin, there's some freeform air, there's, you know, hot glue in there, etc., etc. So I may have to take a couple different passes with a couple different tools. Let's go ahead and start with this one since it's kind of the most dinged up anyway. Like a little jewelry saw is a good place to start, because these are sort of plastic tubes. They're not going to easily be X-Acto knifed apart, I don't think. Though, you know, I say that, and that makes me think, well, why don't you try the easy thing first? You know what? I guess it's a thin enough plastic that this works just fine. This cracked off piece just for authenticity. This will be sitting on the ground next to it. Buried my X-Acto knife. There it is. So yeah, see this part, this part is foam, which means you can cut through it really easily, fracture it really easily, but then this part, I think, is freeform air. So it's not so easy. And this part, I believe, is resin. Might be freeform air as well, actually. And also, I should not be pushing towards my finger. Bad Josh. This is where I'm wondering if maybe using an X-Acto or a Dremel tool or something to get the most of the mass removed, and then going in and chipping at the edges might be a better way. Not sure yet. All I know is that we want the destruction and chipping to carry across very evenly, because this is supposed to be all one piece of rock. Now this whole like facing part is very much like obscured, so I'm not too worried about what happens after this point. Just want to make sure that the impression that there's still erosion happening around the corner is there. This is the worst thing to cut through because it's like this flexible sealant, rubber seal kind of thing. But you know, once it's got the paint and the weathering and stuff over it, I think it'll be fine. Let's see if maybe little scissory dealies might be best for this. Where's my little scissor dealie? Yeah, this plastic tube, you can pierce through it really well, but cutting kind of gently on the surface isn't working so well. So I'm going to try just doing it this way. If the whole diorama was made out of this process would be incredibly onerous. Fortunately, it's only these 4 little pillars that have this feature. Probably be easier to like pop it off, work on it then there, and just glue it back together. But for some reason I don't wanna. And let's see if I pay the price for not wanting to. This would definitely be a lot easier to do with a Dremel tool. Maybe what I'll do is do some quick dremeling just on these guys. Yeah, I guess it'll help with that wonkiness as well. Hope I wasn't breathing too much of that in. This was cutting through plastic beads, rubber O-rings, maybe nylon, I don't know. Some kind of O-rings, freeform air, and hot glue. So it's just a mix of all sorts of things that smell delightful when you melt them. Let me tell you. Too bad we don't have smell-o-vision here on Twitch. It's going to be kind of hard to read the actual effect of this until I get another coat of paint on here. Let's just put a little paint on here. See what's going on.
Your pain is real, but your heart will heal. Now you get to love yourself for who you are. One day you'll light up someone's world like a morning star.
I get the new thing at work today. I mean, there's so many new things going on at work. I don't even know which one of the new things you're referring to.
Feels so far-fetched. When it was once close and now it is so far, it feels much harder.
wonder if a way to deal with these holes that I pierced in there is just to shove a little piece of foam in there. So. Whoops. Okay. Did not shove properly. Let's try that again. Maybe it needs a little hot glue. I don't know. That might work. Nope. Nope. Still falling back in there. Maybe if I just shove it in now, paint around it, and then come back and cut it after that paint is dry, that will be like cementing it in place. Yeah, I think that works pretty well. Again, once like you put dry brushing and weathering and a dirty wash over it, etc., so many of these details are going to be obliterated and obfuscated anyway that I'm not too worried about it. Oh yes, I did indeed. Gutted the Mothra. I set an alarm so I wouldn't forget. brush strokes. There's another pillar. There it is. Can't hide from me. I mean, you could. You did hide from me, but I still found you. You got a decently low number? Nice. Yeah, employees aren't allowed to go for the low numbers. Do not want to give the impression that the odds are stacked. So this channel is specifically called Chill. I'm not feeling. Oh, maybe I'm feeling chilled. Maybe that's my mistake. Bright darkness. Yeah, no, this does not belong in your Chill channel. Pretzel. Got enough stress already today. I almost guarantee it says something about relaxing in the description of this channel. Let's see. Yeah, it says, chill, description, relax, unwind, and chill. As an axe murderer sneaks up behind you, apparently. Apparently, that's what it really means. Okay, put these, let's put these over here for now. Okay. And let's, might as well start like at the top, I guess. decide if this is worth dismantling to make this a little easier. Stuck my finger in some hot glue. Stream will go 10 more minutes. I usually do an hour and a half. Usually. And today is one of those usual days. Another one that I want to Dremel. Let's see. Let's just see, shall we? Because it has a variety of like spongy bits, flexible bits, and really rigid bits, which makes it a very unpredictable thing to cut through by hand. Whole week has been bonkers for me. Oh wow, that's really hard. Yeah. Okay. Dremel tool time. Was that out of focus the whole time? Of course. It's a deliberate choice. I was trying to obscure my methods so no one could steal my precious art tips. That's what it was. You know how precious I am with my art tips. Oh, and look at that. We are at time. So let's go ahead and hit up Is Someone Cool to Raid? If you're interested in art tips that are not hidden by out of focus things, check out my YouTube channel at Josh Foreman, where I do all sorts of fun nerdy art stuff, tutorials, projects, sometimes stunts. You never know what you'll get there. I also have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you know, the things. Hope everyone has a good rest of your day. Ooh, Acid Bird Punk. Let's go.
Thank you guys for raiding in. That was not expected at all. Right now, we are actually working on a little diorama made with Reaper miniatures. I don't know the exact SKU, but I have the 3 witches that I bought for a little Halloween display. And last stream, we locked it out and sculpted up the base and got some of the painting, and now I'm getting some of the OSL in. How are you guys doing today? What were you guys working on today? We are link friendly if you want to share anything. Yeah, no, welcome in everyone. We are link friendly if anyone has anything that they want to share.